Welcome to part 2 of the foot projection image analysis. We are going to go over the lateral foot projection. Image analysis guidelines state that the metatarsal heads are to be superimposed. The proximal talar domes are aligned. The tibio-talar joint space should be demonstrated as open. The distal fibula is demonstrated about a 1/4 inch distal to the distal aspect of the medial tibia. The talar domes are aligned anteriorly and posteriorly. In a patient with an average medial arch, 1/2 of the cuboid is visualized posteriorly to the navicular bone. And the anterior aspect of the distal fibula is aligned with the mid-tibia. The posterior half of the distal tibia superimposes the fibula. The distal tarsals should be at the center of the exposure field. The phalanges, metatarsals, tarsals, talus, calcaneus, and 1 inch of the distal lower leg and foot soft tissue are all included within the exposure field. Here are those guidelines. Here is an example of an adequately positioned lower leg for a lateral foot projection on a patient with an average medial arch. Here is an example of a non-weight bearing versus a weight bearing projection. This is the same projection taken on the same patient. In a weight-bearing projection, your tarsals and metatarsals will come in alignment more, and the actual medial longitudinal arch will be flattened some, and so therefore this brings all those bones in more of that lateral projection we're looking for. But both are adequately positioned and are acceptable. Again, you will see here that these are 3 accurately positioned arches of 3 different patient types. In an average medial arch, you can see that the position of your cuboid and your navicular in this projection, and in each of the other. When a patient has a lower medial arch, you will see that there's more or increased superimposition of the tarsals and metatarsals, but as the arch gets higher, you will see that the superimposition of the distal tarsals and metatarsals lessens. In an adequately positioned lateral foot, I wanted to take a closer look at the tibio-talar joint space. We're looking for both those talar domes to be superimposed and this joint space to be free of superimposition. In addition, you want the relationship of your tibia fibula to be demonstrated as so. So let's look at internal foot rotation on a lateral projection. If the leg isn't externally rotated enough to place that lateral surface of the foot parallel with the IR for a lateral foot projection, in other words, placing more surface pressure on the heel, the lateral talar dome will be demonstrated anterior, like it is here, to the medial talar dome, and the anterior fibula will be demonstrated anteriorly to that midsection of that tibia relationship. as you can recall. Here are the characteristics of that relationship and the corrective action. Now, if the leg is externally rotated more than it needed to be to place that lateral foot surface parallel with the IR, other words, placing more pressure on the forefoot, the lateral talar dome is demonstrated posterior to the medial talar dome, and the anterior fibula is posterior to the mid-tibia. So we're going to look at these relationships in the talar domes, and we're going to look at your tib fib and the position it goes in when the forefoot has more pressure on it. The fibula moves posteriorly. Here are the characteristics of that external foot rotation and the corrective action. So let's look at what happens with our foot projections when our lower leg isn't parallel with the IR. If the proximal lower leg is elevated farther from the IR than the distal lower leg for the lateral foot projection, you're going to see that the lateral talar dome is demonstrated proximally to the medial talar dome. Less than half of the cuboid is demonstrated posterior to the navicular bone if the patient has an average medial arch. The distal fibula is less than a fourth of an inch distal to or is proximal to the distal medial tibia. So you can see that this relationship of this fibula went kind of in the upward position when that proximal lower leg is elevated. The talocalcaneal and tibiotalar joint spaces, well, they're closed. We can't see anything there. In order to reposition this, we really need to bring that proximal lower leg down, and you may need to put a sponge underneath there to get that lower leg in position, and we can get that tibiotalar joint space open. Now, in this projection, we have just the opposite. The lower leg is actually elevated higher than the proximal leg. In this projection, you will see that the lateral talar dome is demonstrated distal to, and I can't actually see it because there's so much distortion here, but it is distal here to the medial talar dome. I think it's about here. More than half of the cuboid down here is in profile, so we have some elevation issues. The distal fibula is greater than a quarter-inch distal to the medial tibia. So you can see that this fibula went in the opposite direction here. And the talocalcaneal joint is open, and the tibiotalar joint is closed. So in order to correct this image, we need to reposition the patient so that the distal lower leg is depressed enough to open that tibiotalar joint space. So let's look at our first practice analysis. And looking at this practice analysis, you can see that the medial talar dome here, right anterior, right here, is positioned anterior to the lateral talar dome, right here. Also, if you take a look at the position of your fibula, this should indicate to you that the leg was externally rotated. Also, this foot is in plantar flexion. So we need to internally rotate this leg until the lateral surface of the foot is parallel with the IR, and we need to dorsiflex that foot till it is 90 degrees. In our next practice analysis, again, we want to look at these talar domes. Are they positioned superimposed? And no, I cannot see a tibio-talar joint space here. And so we need to figure out what's going on. And so in this projection, the lateral talar dome is positioned anterior to the medial talar dome. The foot was internally rotated. So we need to externally rotate the leg until that lateral surface of that foot is parallel with the IR. Again, in our last practice analysis, we want to look for this tibio-talar joint space to see if we're in a true lateral projection. And there's a lot of distortion here, okay? And so what I like to do is immediately look at the position of the fibula in relationship to the tibia and the talus, okay? You can take a look here. The tibia or the fibula is proximal, and it's not on at that quarter inch superimposing that talus like it should. Also, the lateral talar dome is demonstrated proximal to the medial talar dome. Also, we want to look at this cuboid. The cuboid is demonstrated less than half posteriorly to the navicular. Again, like we said, the talocalcaneal and tibio-talar joint spaces are closed. So the proximal lower leg is elevated further from the IR than the distal. So we need to depress that proximal lower leg and dorsiflex that foot by 90 degrees to correct this image. This concludes our image analysis. If there's any questions or concerns, please feel free to reach out. We can also go over this at clinic if you need extra help. Thank you for participating.